Cool.
All right. Well, thanks so much for joining me, Namdi. I guess let's jump right into your origin story. When did you know you first wanted to be a musician? What kind of music did you kind of grow up around?
Um, I've always liked music, like from an early age. My dad played guitar, and my mom sang. Grew up playing in church a little bit, so I think I started in like fifth grade. I like joined band and started playing drums. Um, yeah, it wasn't really like a an intense passion in the beginning, but like it was kind of something that they came to all the schools, like the middle school in town would come to all the elementary schools, and you would take this test and be like, this is the instrument that would be most compatible with you. And I don't know, I liked drums, and I got drums. I think I tied with drums and trumpet, and I just started playing drums and fell in love with it.
Yeah, they did something similar at my school. I wanted to play the clarinet, but after they heard a few seconds of me on the clarinet, they're like, "No, you need to play tuba or something, something else."
Damn, you're only gonna give me a couple seconds to decide my like whole
My entire
instrument
future. Yeah.
trajectory. It's pretty wild, but yeah, that's how I started, and I played in church growing up, and yeah.
Um, so you released your album Brat in the beginning of April, which was like right after everything in coronavirus just started going crazy in the US. What was that like to release an album in that climate?
Uh, there's a lot of different mixed emotions. It was definitely had to get creative, and definitely went through a lot of phases of like whether it was whether our approach was right. I didn't really consider not putting it out ever, but just like how it was being presented, and yeah, it kind of just made me think about like why music is important in times of like, turmoil. So yeah, what it's hard to say, because everything is new. This is all new to everybody, so it's hard to like be like it would have done a certain way if this had not happened. It's just like, well, this is the reality we're in, and yeah, I don't know. That's hard to answer. Like, I don't like. I don't really want to speculate on like what ifs, but I
Right.
feel it was definitely intense just because touring plans got canceled and my release show and all of that didn't end up happening. So that aspect of it sucked, but I also think that it helped a lot of people in a way maybe it wouldn't have if people weren't just at home and kind of restless. So
Definitely.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even the album itself, songs like Glass Casket seem to be kind of talking about that fear of like, okay, well, like, is me making music like, helping people directly, and is it impacting people? Do you still kind of have those kind of thoughts, or have you kind of like worked that out in your mind?
They're very infrequent. I used to have them a lot of doubt, but there's no really doubt on whether it's important. I think what kind of happens in my mind now is just like kind of balancing like the times when I work on music. Like, okay, I know that's important to a lot of people. I know it's important to me, but just balancing like health and like friendships and just like taking care of people and taking care of myself. I think that's the challenge now, other than like is this right? Should I be doing it? I'm like, yeah, I definitely should be doing it because it's like the one thing I'm good at. So
Right. Well, I do think it's like probably hardest than ever to like find a good balance of like, work and play when you're kind of stuck inside all the time and
yeah,
just,
I'm also like my work is my play. Like
yeah.
I'm like I need new hobbies that aren't music because when I don't want to work or do music, it's just like, what do I do? So yeah, I'm just trying to figure out other things that bring me joy that are simpler things.
Yeah. Um, so the album Brat, I think, incorporates a lot of different, musical styles, hip hop, math rock, all this different stuff. I know you said in the past, like, it's not really a gimmick and it just feels natural to you, like whatever comes to you. How do you feel in general about people like labeling music with genres and kind of categorizing it in that way?
I think you have to, in order to explain music to someone, you have to say some words. So like, they're definitely helpful in that regard. Like but I don't know. Yeah, a lot of people get pigeonholed into genres that don't cover the full spectrum of their abilities. I think it happens a lot with Black musicians and like getting pigeonholed into R&B. I think we see that a lot when it's they're like a lot. I don't know. There's more layers to it than that. But
Yeah, I think Rolling
um,
Stone just like called SZA the queen of R&B or something, and
yeah,
um, she's not happy with that.
yeah, R&B. When I think R&B, I think like old, like Jagged Edge and like I don't even, I don't even know. Just like kind of like slow jams and shit, but like Maxwell and
Yeah,
so I don't know. That's just like I feel like that term is relatively outdated when trying to compare people to like pop and hip hop stars and singers of this generation. And it's just kind of become like a blanketed term for like black person that's not rapping. So
right.
that's the whole thing. But yeah, it definitely serves its purpose. It serves to explain and kind of let people know what they're getting into. I just think there are more ways to explain it rather than just saying the six big genre names, you know?
Yeah, definitely. So in a similar way that like you music is constantly switching styles, you also just throw in a bunch of different emotions in there. And one of those is like humor. What do you kind of view as humor's role in your music, and how that kind of interacts with the rest of everything?
I think everything that happens in the world has some aspect of humor. Like even fucked up shit, there's like a dark humor to it. I think I don't know. It's just like a lot of the shit happening just seems like a giant practical joke or like some fucked up twisted joke. Like it's not even in a funny like haha this is funny way, but just like the absurdity of a lot of things. I think I try to make obvious in songs. And yeah, I don't know. Music is silly in general. I don't know. Watching someone strum a guitar or hit drums, it's like it's a funny thing. Like just as it is, if you take away the aspect that's they're producing, like sounds that you enjoy. So yeah, I think I think humor is very important, and yeah, it definitely helps soften uh, more intense or harder emotions to swallow.
Right.
So if you present it correctly, I think.
So you basically play like all the instruments in this album. What do you usually like? I know you're like classically a drummer, but what do you usually start with when you're making a track, or starting to compose a track?
Um, Usually, if there are more acoustic elements, then I'll do like a scratch guitar tracks just so I can record drums. So drums are the main things that are like these are the final product that I'm going to use. But like I record scratch guitar track just so I have something to play along to, and then I go back and re-record guitar usually, and then whatever instrument after that. Usually bass, but after drums and guitar, it's kind of a free for all usually.
Do you have like a a least favorite instrument, or one that you find annoying to play, or is
I don't have a least favorite. I'm not good at guitar. I think I'm good at coming up with parts, but my execution is pretty sloppy. I just do it anyway because like why the fuck not? Um, but I wouldn't. Yeah, I don't have a least favorite instrument. I think they're all fun.
in terms of like styles or genres, do you have like a favorite or something that feels like most comfortable to be in?
um, I don't know about most comfortable. I know I feel like my weakest point and this just goes based off drums, which are my main instrument. I think my weakest point, which is a bad weak point for a drummer, but is like kind of pocket based music. I feel like some people just have like a certain feel where you're just like right along with them, and I think I overthink that sometimes. So
And the math rock mindset of just being a little
yeah,
more.
no, it's just being maybe a little unorganized and scatterbrained.
So lyrically, I think Brat is really interesting as well. You have like this mantra that you repeat throughout the album. I need you, need something new, and it kind of takes on different meanings throughout the different songs. Like in Everyone I Loved, it kind of seems like it's talking about your weariness and need for something exciting. And then on Wasted, it really fits with like the themes of wanting to connect with someone, have them open up to you. How did this mantra kind of come about? Was it when you were writing a certain song, or was it disconnected from that?
Um, I don't. I honestly don't remember if it happened in Wasted first or in Flowers to My Demons first. But I don't know, it's just something that came to me one day. I don't I can't really place it in any specific place. I feel like I've made my own interpretations of where it came from, but in the moment it just like was something that I don't know, it was like an earworm that just popped into my head and I couldn't stop saying it. And uh yeah, there was no specific origin of that. It's kind of something I like it because it can take on multiple meanings, as you say, and I feel like it's different for everybody what it means, which is I really like that. Like people
Yeah.
have their own interpretation of it, and I think that's a really beautiful thing. So
Well, yeah, yeah. The intro song "Flowers to My Demons" is really great. It's a really nice, gentle acoustic track. But then right after that transitions to "Gimme Gimme," which has this nice like hip hop beat and just really changes the tempo up and everything. How did you kind of come up with that transition? Was that kind of put in after you made both separate tracks, or?
um, well, the Gimme Gimme beat I had for a long time, but didn't know where to go with it. Um, so I think after I wrote Flowers to My Demons and had the idea for it to kind of like the end pretty much crescendos into this like fury, like wall of sound thing. And then it ends with two harmonics. And it really felt like it would be a good transition to go into something like super heavy after that. Like my original intention was to get something like abrasively blown out, but I kind of like moved it back a little bit just because I think I was going in one extreme. But yeah, that that was just that was just an idea I had. I felt like it would be a really good shift to draw people in, and kind of covers the whole scope of sounds on the record. I think those two tracks, like it encompasses pretty much all the instruments you're going to hear on throughout the rest of the record. So
Yeah. Speaking about transitions, after you released Drool, you were able to, and you also had your record company, Super Records. You were able to kind of quit your job and do music full time. What was that transition like for you? Was it hard to kind of, make a schedule for yourself and, be your own boss, that kind of thing?
I still don't. I'm still horrible at making a schedule for myself. Like if I'm working on something, I'll we either work on it for like 14 hours straight and then be like, oh shit, I should probably like eat. Or I'll like start something and then immediately be like, this blows, and then go do something else. So I still don't have like a sense of schedule. Um, I do give myself deadlines, which helps. But yeah, no, I'm not. It's not easy for me to to make my own schedule. It's easy for me to get stuff done if I have a deadline. Like if someone else has a project and they're like, I need this done by this time, then I'll be like, all right, I can just chill for the next 2 weeks, and then in the last week I'll
Yeah.
cram everything in. So that's sometimes how I work with a lot of things. But I love it. I don't think I could work for someone else.
Yeah.
I'm too stubborn.
Well, that's very relatable. I've never really been able to create a schedule for myself either.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so in June you released the Black Plight EP, and then on Juneteenth you released Stressed Out, and you donated, the large sum of the money to racial justice organizations in Chicago. Um, what was it like, I guess, creating these songs? Did it feel different than like, your normal music creation, knowing like the subject matter and everything?
Yeah. Stressed Out was recorded before. It was recorded like a little bit before uh, the Corona outbreak. So that was just that just happened to like continue throughout. I continued to be stressed out throughout everything that was happening. So that track was already done. The Black Plight EP, yeah, that was also it was a very stressful process because I knew I wanted to do something to help, but like I didn't know what to do. Um, I think I was like I started to go to one of the first protests in Chicago where things were getting pretty rowdy, and it was like so intense that I couldn't go, just like because of anxiety and like all like too many things happening around. So I ended up biking back home, and yeah, that week I was just it was also my birthday week, and um, I just really felt like I had to do something helpful, and I just locked myself in the studio that week and crammed it out. And yeah, it was. I don't. I'm really happy I did it, but I feel like that way of working sometimes can take a toll on you. Ultimately, like it was great and helped a lot of people, and I'm glad I did it. But it was the whole week was very stressful for so many reasons. Just trying to like talk to friends, make sure they're okay, and just like taking in all this intense information from the internet. But yeah, very different than my typical album out like rollout, which takes a lot longer, you know. So I would
Right.
never. Oh, I'm not gonna say never, but I have never really like done that where it's just like giving myself a week time and then well it's got to be out. Me and my friends spent the night before mixing and mastering it, and I was just like, this has to be out tomorrow, which is funny because I did that again in July for the album I put out, Krazy Karl. I did it in a week and I was like, yo, you have to help mix and master this, we got to put it out at midnight. And he was like, all right. And we just like stayed in the basement like working all day.
Yeah, Crazy Carl, especially just for like the type of music it is, seems like it'd be crazy to like record in a week. What was that process like? Like what? I don't even know where you start with something like Crazy Carl, in terms of composing it and everything.
Yeah, well, so the drums were recorded a couple years ago, and I had this idea for a while. So it wasn't like this was like one of the low stakes projects in my mind that ended up being higher stakes just because of the pressure I put on myself for when I wanted to release it. Um, but yeah, it was really just the drums were improvised. I recorded, I think, like 11 or 12 tracks and of just improvised drums starting at 200 BPM. And then every track I would go 10 BPM less and just improvise. And the whole point of me doing it was to try to figure out my natural tendencies in playing drums. Like if I shut off my brain and just like moved around, like try to figure out like what I naturally repeat and what are my go-to things, because I was trying to just unlearn certain behaviors, and I felt like if I could pinpoint what I do all the time, I could maybe refine it, because I don't want to like get rid of all my natural tendencies, but I want to like I just wanted to know more about like what my inclinations were.
Right.
Well, the whole point was for me to do that and then relearn the parts, uh, which was a fun little project. And yeah, everything else I recorded, not really thinking, not really like second guessing. I was just like, this sounds good, and I just like followed the improvised drums through the end, like hopping from instrument to instrument, like wherever it seemed, wherever I felt moved to hop to. So yeah, low
Yeah.
stress, high stress.
Yeah, it's I think, yeah, as a whole it sounds like very just like untethered.
Yeah.
There is this like one melody that shows up at the end of White Savior sequel, and then you hear it again a few more times, like in Pray Tell at the end.
Okay.
um
That's actually, I think it's in every song. I have to
is it
double.
really?
I'm pretty sure some iteration of it. Some are more obvious than others, but I think it's in every song. If not every one, it's in at least 8 of the 10 songs for sure.
Wow, I need to go back and I think I only caught it in like 3 or 4, so I need
Well, it's at
to
the very beginning of the whole album. It's the harp at the very beginning, so it's the first thing and last thing you hear on the album.
Yeah, well, how did you come up with that melody and decide that it wanted to be kind of a refrain that you repeated?
That's just, it's the same, pretty much the same as on Brat. It's something that just happened. It happened in one song, and then I was like, what if I put it in another song? It's the same thing as the mantra on Brat. I really love mantras that people can latch onto, because I feel like it helps tie into something that may otherwise feel a little less cohesive. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I do think it ties it together. I can't believe it's the first song, the first thing you hear on the album. I didn't catch it.
Yeah, no one has got it yet. So people that watch this will be the first to know. Maybe
Okay.
I'll do like a prize with the vinyl. If someone can find all of them on the album, I'll give them a free
Yeah, it'll
record.
be like a treasure hunt.
Yeah.
um, yeah, White Savior sequel itself is one of my favorite tracks. You sing like this Blessed Assurance hymn,
Yeah.
and yeah, what was your inspiration for singing the hymn, and then also the title of the track?
Uh, I I just really love that song. First of all, I think it is like one of my favorite hymns. Um, and yeah, just kind of watching people right now react to Black Lives Matter movement, and there's a lot of different perspectives and a lot of different opinions, but a lot of about things I was saying were like kind of people that weren't black, like trying to lead the conversation, which is weird. That's like a man going to a women's like rally and trying to explain to them like what's going on.
Yeah, yeah,
So that was kind of a subtle jab at that that type of behavior, which is annoying as hell.
yeah. um, so what's going on with Super Records right now? Sean Morimoto is coming out with a new album soon, right?
His son.
San, my bad. Yeah,
Yeah, his album is probably gonna be the best album of the year, in my opinion. It's so freaking good. He's a genius. Like, I think he's one of the best songwriters of all time. So I'm super pumped for that. We also just announced a signing today. My friend Luke Titus, who plays drums for like Raven Lene and No Name, he's putting out a solo record. He just dropped a track, like his first song in a couple years. So I'm excited to work with him. Other than that, nothing announced. We're working on talking to some people, but yeah, those two are in the works.
what about Monobody? You guys working on anything?
Oh yeah, I forgot. Yes, that's our record is done, and I think we're gonna put it out at the end of the year. So yeah, that'll be
I'll
on Super
be excited for that. I really enjoy that project.
Heck yeah, me too. I'm excited. I think this Monobody record is my favorite recording I've been on.
Really?
Yeah,
That's exciting.
that's really good.
Um, well, I took a peek at the Reddit AMA, and then I saw afterwards you were complaining that there were no questions about sucking toes. So I just want this to be your free space.
I can talk about toes for as long as I want. 20-minute
Yeah.
toe conversation. Nah, I was just messing around with people.
I figured, but
I
you
thought it
never
would be
know.
freakier though. I really did. I thought the true freaks would come out, but there's only like one question that was like kind of freaky, and I was like, okay, people like really want to know about music. Lame.
Is there like a freaky question you really want someone to ask?
No, see, that's the thing. I want to be surprised. I want to be like, oh
Uh,
shit. Like,
what is that? Why
okay.
would you ask me that? Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that was really fun. I thought it was gonna suck. Like I was like really thinking that it was gonna suck ass and people were just gonna ask like really dumb questions. But it came through with some good questions.
Yeah. Um, I was on there. I asked about the album cover.
Ah,
Um, but for those who weren't on the AMA, if you could kind of talk about the album cover and inspiration for it.
yeah, the album cover is just me in silk pajamas with my brat tiara on, holding a balloon and crying, and that that idea came as soon as I came up with the name Brat. That's like the first thing that I pictured in my head, um, and I went with it. But yeah, that relates to, as we are talking with like the song "Glass Casket," just talking about like whether you're or not you're making the right decisions, whether or not what you're doing is selfish or not, which was something I used to battle a lot with, like pursuing music when I knew I could be like pursuing something else that would give me immediate money, but would have been like way less fulfilling.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of that kind of like push and pull going back, and yeah, I just thought it was a funny idea to convey those feelings.
Um,
I don't think it's bratty, by the way. I think the album helped me 100% get over that.
yeah. You also have this music video for "Gimme Gimme." That's pretty fun. It's just like you chasing around a kid trying to get his ice cream.
Yeah,
How did that come around?
that kid was at a show I played last summer. Um, I forget what the festival's called. I think it's called Do Division in Chicago. And I didn't see him while it was happening, but he was apparently just like dancing and going crazy in the audience. And my friend Francis recorded a video of it and sent to me after the show. And was just floored. And I was like, I gotta find this kid. Like, we gotta find him. And me and the other folks at Super like kept posting it and sharing it. And I was like, does anyone know whose kid this is? Like, we want to meet this legend. And then someone finally recognized him on Twitter and was like, hey, I think I know his parents. And then his mom hit us up on Instagram, just like so pumped that the video was getting so much traction. Yeah, and then I just flew them out. I was like, I have a video idea. I'm gonna fly you guys out because they're from South Carolina, but have family in Chicago, so they're just visiting. Yeah, I flew them out and made the video. And I've never done anything like that before. I've never like flown anyone out, but I was like, this seems like it'll be a good idea.
It's worth it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was. It was so much fun.
Yeah, it really looks like fun, and the kid was
Yeah,
did
he's a
great.
legend. He's
Yeah.
so good.
Well, I think that's about all the questions I have for you. Thanks so much for talking with me. It's really like nice to learn more about the album. Yeah, have anything else you want to reveal or working on, or anything
No,
else you
not
want to
really.
say?
I'll put out another record at the end of the year.
Oh,
I don't know which one it'll be. I'm
you have
working.
multiple
I'm
that
just.
you're.
I have a lot of song. I have a few ideas for things. So yeah, we'll see. I think either one I pick, I'm very excited for it. It's different than the other stuff I put out. So that's all. People should buy my music,
Yeah.
send me money.
Yeah, Bandcamp, go on Bandcamp and buy
Yeah.
Krazy Karl, buy Brat, buy the Black Plight EP.
Yes.
Um, and yeah, you're on all the other streaming services as well.
Yeah. I'm trying to get 1 million plays on Spotify on a track this year. I
Which one's closest? Is it
think Let Go of My Egos.
yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, I think you'll get there. I have faith.
Trust.
Well, yeah.